everyone, it's Annabelle. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be taking some keikis off the Dendrobium berry odour that you see in front of you. It flowered for me in the spring and then it keikied. So I'm going to take them off. They're quite big now. This is the smaller keiki. And then the bigger one is just behind. So they're actually, they're reasonable sized canes that is produced even on the keikis. I've waited until they've got good root systems. We have started to see some of the earlier roots that would produce the tips are drying and shrinking, but it's got more on both of them. So I wanted to take these off and send them off to people before I fully move over, and I thought that this would be a good thing to do now. My orchids are mostly in the new house, but I've kept a few here that I still need to do some bits on. So I'm just going to get started. I've prepared some cups, so we've got some cups of media all ready to go. So I'm just going to literally put them straight into semi-hydro, and then people who get them after that can just decide what setups they want to keep them in. So for keikis, I usually just pull them off. They usually just come off quite easily. To see, there you go. Don't know if my hand was blocking that when I did it. It's got a tiny little bit of a leaf still attached. So it looks like there were some roots that the tips had gone down into the leaf sheath there that I've broken off, but we've still got plenty. So then I'm just going to pull the other keiki off. Try and show you what I'm actually doing on this one. And there was again a root that's gone right down in there. Oh, it's not coming out. Tip had dried on it anyway, where it had shoved itself right down the inside of this leaf join here. So that's the second keiki. So I'm just going to cinnamon the area that was joined onto the rhizome there. You can see obviously this sort of stringy area that was joining it to the mother plant. And that's all that was joining it, and obviously the root tips that had like smushed up against the plant, but then we've got a decent root system on the rest of it. So we're going to get the mother plant out of the way and just focus on dealing with these keikis now. So I'm just going to place a tiny dab of cinnamon onto the area that was joined onto the mother plant, just to help dry that out, and then I'm just going to leave them in the open just for sort of an hour or so to just thoroughly dry out that cut wound that I've made. So those are the cinnamon cut areas. So I'm just going to leave those to dry out for an hour or so, just to make sure that it's fully dry before I then plant them into a moist solution. So they've been drying for a couple of hours, so I'm just going to pop them into their new pots. So I'm just going to put them in a mixture of lacquer and pumice, because Dendrobium berryodas, I mean Kingianums and berryodas in my climate do extremely well in semi-hydro based kind of substances, but they don't like the dry top layer, I've found, especially for the Kingianum. So I am just going to pop it like this. So I've only filled up sort of to there on the cup, and then I'm going to fill around the roots. I don't really want to damage the new root tips, but I'm just going to try and weigh them down a little bit with media. They should find their own way down into the media. So I'm just going to stake that there. just until they root. They'll need staking for support while those roots find their way down into the media before they kind of anchor. And at that point I will take the stake off and probably send it off to somebody, but I won't be doing that until it's well rooted. So that is Keiki number 1. It's done. I'm just going to do the same for Keiki number 2. Just going to gently bend those roots into the cup. So now that they are secured and staked in place in their cup, I'm just going to use some media to fill around the top layer just to cover those roots up. I'm not going to fill it right to the top. I'm just filling around the top layer with a finer lacquer and Ceramis mix, which will provide a little bit more moisture around the top layer of roots. Not going to force them too much into the cup. There's one that is just completely going up at the wrong angle, and I'll probably snap that if I try and manipulate it too much. I'm just going to leave that be. But you can see the rhizome there is not too buried, but just enough to get those roots down into the cup. And then I'm just going to flush these through and fill up with nutrient solution, and then we're done. And those are the Dendrobium berry odor keikis all removed. I've added a top layer of these decorative rocks to the top. I usually use smoother pebbles, but I'm out and the berry odor won't have any problems with these at all. I do find that they are very slightly porous, not quite as good as the like river pebbles, but they'll be fine for what I want them for, and they made it very easier to flush because you can really give a very thorough flush with these because they're heavier, so they weigh down the lacquer. So I flushed it all through really well and topped up with a nutrient solution with extra seaweed in, which should help them just to adapt that bit quicker. And we will pop back in 1 month's time and check on their progress. While they're adapting, I will put them onto a windowsill with my Rincostylis giganteus that gets bright but indirect sunlight. And this is because I feel like on the kitchen windowsill with the parent plant, I don't actually give the parent plant enough light. It gets by and it does well, but I feel like it could do with more light. These guys need a little bit more energy to put into making a new growth kind of as quickly as possible, so I want to put them in a more kind of ideal light situation. So that's why I'm putting these in a different location to the parent plant. Also a little bit warmer, so nice kind of intermediate temperatures, bright indirect light, and hopefully that'll help to give them more comfortable conditions to stimulate new growth, new root growth, along with the seaweed to push them to adapt as quickly as possible. And then we will update and I will do a giveaway for these guys. Thanks so much for watching my quick Keiki repot, and I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like or subscribe to my channel for more regular orchid updates, and I'll see you guys all later. Bye!